Okay. So we need a motion. Let's go one by one. So can I have a motion to approve the loan to Two Queens?
I'll make the
Ed,
motion.
Kathleen, any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on.
Second is there a second?
Kathleen and Ed. The next is the 3 Franks. Who are you going to tell us about that one?
Sure, 3 Franks is request that you get 45,000 to an antique English double-decker bus converted into a restaurant in the town of Parksville.
In Parksville.
That sounds like a cool project.
It's close to you, Walt. You can go over there for dinner.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about that, or should we put it to the motion? Can I have a motion to approve the resolution? Paul and Carol second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and the last is the North Branch Cider Mill, which is a revolving loan fund loan. For how much? 75? 75.
Yeah.
Belinda?
Just want to mention, I went by this morning, and they're really going, there's a lot of work being done. There was a lumber truck delivering lumber, and they seem to be really moving along.
That was always a great property.
Mhm.
Yep, Tom Roberts and Anna Aber that are the progenitors of this project, and they went to renovate the North Branch Cider Mill. This loan is only a small portion of the entire project. It's about a $1.2 million project, and this is just to do some infrastructure on the outside of the building and get it open in the fall. But they also have an 8,000 square foot building that they plan to renovate into shops.
And how many square feet?
8,000.
And where's
It's
that?
a barn. It's a barn.
Oh, in the back. Oh, okay.
So they
Yeah,
have other.
it's a block
plans.
building. Okay, yeah.
They're seeking financing from the partnership as well.
Right, I saw that.
To do some more infrastructure, improve the sewer, not the sewer, water facilities.
So where would we be in the power of loans?
So they own the property free and clear, and so I'm hoping to do just the infrastructure on 2 of the 3 parcels that they own. And hopefully do a joint loan with the partnership
Okay.
with just the cider mill property and then a vacant parking lot across the street.
That's what we're taking as collateral. But
Okay.
the partnership has not approved it as of last week. They have.
So we're gonna take that as collateral.
We're taking a first mortgage lien position on the North Branch Cider Mill and the parking lot that allowed you to go there.
Okay,
There is also a residential project, 2 apartments that were renovated out of an old barn that we're not taking.
okay.
Because if we take residential property and need it to foreclose, none of us are gonna live long enough.
Great.
And on the prior one and this one, remember that the admin fee will be half of what's listed here, and legal fees will be paid half and half.
So here's a good one. Short-term rental or workforce housing residential.
Here,
That is part of this project.
I don't know what their plan is in terms of,
In the business plan, it was for staff housing.
Perfect.
I think they're about 800 square foot.
That was a hot subject and it used to be a hot subject.
even better if that's what they do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I've recommended we not take a lien on
Yeah.
any property of residential character when we don't need the security. We're very secure with the other 2.
I'm doing a transaction in Iraq.
In Iraq?
Yeah, and the land is leased to the company by the Iraqi government. So taking a mortgage on the buildings doesn't do us a lot of good. So what I'm doing is taking an assignment of the rents. So in the event of a default, the rent money comes to us, to the lender.
Your gallbladder issues?
Yeah.
Sorry. What did you hear?
No, I was thinking that. and you said it.
Jennifer, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to, yeah, I just want to clarify that in our discussions with the committee about reducing the fees. So there were three things. Having the admin fee from 2% to 1% on both of these loans. IDA covering half of the attorney's fees, and then having our application fee from $250 to $125. So just for the record and for the board's information. And
So if you collected the 250, credited against what's due at closing.
Right.
I only received it from 2 points.
Thank you. So let's have a motion on the cider mill. And Paul, any further conversation, questions? Okay, all in favor? say
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Approved. I think that's the end of IBA, everything, right?
There's
Mhm.
one more thing to go over, which is just sort of a secondhand report by me on ongoing discussions with the county about the county revolving loan fund, which I think William's on the board and John used to run. They have,
Getting used to. What happened?
well, you run it, but
I
guess
still,
it- is
I
it-
still have a portfolio I have to continue to monitor and collect.
Yeah.
Uh,
My understanding is that the county has received an indication from the federal government that those loan funds are no longer subject to federal supervision or controls or guidelines.
Okay,
So it's quite likely that the county will be moving ahead to move those loan funds to Sullivan County Funding Corp.
they don't
Yeah.
want to do them anymore?
It's much more efficient if they're all in one place. And we end up, instead of having 50,000 from pod A and 50,000 from pod B, we have one pod with 100,000. I met with Mike McGuire this morning. That's the recommendation from the chairman and from the county attorney. They'll be meeting with Josh in the next day or two.
So I mean, we inherit the servicing of their
It
loans.
would mean we inherit the servicing of their loans, yes.
Do we have some, D&O, E&O coverage for
But they
them?
wouldn't be their loans. They would then become our loans.
Well, no, they were already lent, right? So they have to be
They would-
overseen.
I don't know the answer to the insurance question, but if a bank transfers a loan to another lender,
Okay,
it's gone.
I see, that's gonna be an actual, so. There will be an assignment from them to the Sullivan
There'll
County
be,
Funding.
there'll be
Okay.
an assignment of the existing portfolio of loans to the funding court.
Got it.
And there will be a transfer of the remaining unloaned balances that are in the fund. And I think, I mean, John knows the details. I think that there are 2 funds, but some people have mentioned that there might be 3.
How many loans are we talking about that we're?
Dozen.
A dozen?
There's about 12.
And are there any that are?
Delinquent on the My
Yeah.
Watch?
Okay. You're anticipating-
You're out for a few days.
Yeah,
Um,
just checking. That's right. You've been away for a week or so.
Matter, it's still paid.
Good. All right.
And are there 2, John, or 3 funds? There seem to be
There's
just 3.
3. There's 3 to 1 is very, the one is very inactive right now. There were 4. One we loaned it out and closed it out. I don't know how to shut this thing.
How much money total are we talking about? Between
We have about 600,000 left that we can lend out.
And
And
the,
right now outstanding, there's 300,000 to 400,000, but a big piece of that is the creamery.
so it's around $1 million we're talking about.
Yes.
Of asset, all right. Okay, well, the funding court. Has to look at all that.
There'll be a formal
Yeah.
document
Yeah.
prepared when they meet with Josh.
Okay,
But the point is that at least the chairman and county attorney believe it would be more efficient to have more money and less loan funds.
that makes sense.
Makes it, and it's,
Does everybody else agree that makes sense?
Mm.
Okay, So there's nothing to act on right now. You're
Nothing
just
to
giving
act
us
on except
information.
that a few months ago, we told you when they got the word from the federal government, whether they were or were not subject to continuing supervision, I would report back.
Okay,
And in the last couple of weeks, they've received word that they're not subject.
all right, so before we close out the IDA meeting, we'll turn to the public for comment. Does any member of the public want to address?
Yeah, I got a couple of things.
Okay,
Workforce housing. I know it can take from my sons up there, that's what we do now. We buy houses and they need the help. And we're gonna keep doing that. I hope the bus, the double decker bus is ADA compliant, so the person gets to the top one if they want to, instead of sitting on a downstairs one. Something to always consider these days. When you do any of this stuff, everything has to be ADA compliant. To make sure it is. I want to bring up an old story. Many years ago, when we were going through the casino hustle. We were over in Poughkeepsie. And the head of the board asked the question to the people from Sullivan County, can you handle licenses? Boy, did you hear the room go quiet, hem and haw. They finally got the word. They were told no. So that when we thought we wind up with groceries, now the rumor going around strongly is that groceries are going to become a big housing development. So thank you very much for having that happen. We've been better off with the casino and having more of a draw for tourism than. Some of you weren't here at that point in time. We sat through that and we walked out of there very dismayed for the people who said, oh, no, we can't do that. When the person who had a very strong love for Sullivan County was head of that board. End of story.
thank you. Anybody else, Steve?
I just wanted to quickly let the board know that on the Villa Roma matter, we've sent in a new application. I think it's back on track. There was some financing difficulties that I think the whole world kind of saw roll out in the spring. They seem to have overcome that if you're in a local bank. So hope to be back here next month. When they after had a chance to review the application.
Right.
And we have been in contact with Steve and the other lawyers who are involved in that transaction on the borrower / purchaser side. And I also talked to the bank and the bank's counsel. They're targeting a closing later in August in our August meeting, but if that changes, we would go to Susie and ask her to call a special meeting, but it seems very unlikely that it would be earlier than sometime late in August.
I think late August, maybe early September, but yeah, I think that's a good timeline.
The point being, it's not on the agenda today, even though we got the application like a day ago, because it's after the August one.
I was under the assumption that with everything coming up with this meeting.
Okay,
We got-
any other business? No? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the IDA meeting? Paul, second Ed, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, and then next, when you tell us you're ready, Jen, to the funding.
Thank you.
Take care, Stevie.
Thank you.